Father, I ask that my words would get out of the way. Lord, I ask that even my own insecurities would get out of the way this morning so that you would be present, that your Spirit would continue to be present. Lord, that our ears would be open and our hearts would be prepared and our lives would be changed. We pray this in your Son's holy name. Amen. So for the past few weeks, we've been working through this series at church called Gifted, and we've been talking about, well, all the unexpected ways that the gifts of God show up. And sometimes gifts that we get are like socks and underwear. You don't necessarily want them, but we kind of need them, right? You don't always get what you want, but you often get what you need. And today we're going to talk about the gift that we can receive in Jesus. It's a big gift that we get to receive in Jesus. And as you know, I like to keep things simple because I'm not the smartest or the sharpest or any of the ists in the group, except for maybe the slowest. I like to preach one point, one idea. And here's the one idea I want you to hear this morning, is that He will catch you off guard, He will surprise you, and He will change your life. Can you say those with me? He will catch you off guard, He will surprise you, and He will change your life. Now some people are saying, Mike, those are three separate ideas. Yes, but they're all on one slide, so it's one point. It's true, it's true. He will catch you off guard, He will surprise you, and He will change your life. And as you talk about and think about the Christmas story, it's going to catch you off guard. If you look at it with a real heart and you're honest about it, it's going to catch you off guard. It's going to surprise you. It's going to change your life. Today we're going to be looking at what happens when we fully receive the gift and fully receive the giver of the gift. I remember I met a gentleman by the name of Carl Edwards. Carl was a man in my church up in Los Angeles at St. John's Presbyterian Church, where I grew up. Carl was an elder, and I remember one Sunday afternoon, my job was to sweep up all the figs because there's a more big fig tree. I was a janitor, adult education setup person, and I was the sound guy at that church. And Carl approached me, and he said, Mike, I've been watching, and do you have anybody that's kind of discipling you? And I'm like, excuse me, I don't need to be discipled. I didn't do anything wrong. And, oh man, rough crowd. Rough crowd, man. Okay. Disciplined disciple. So I said, I don't need to be discipled. I haven't done anything wrong. But no. Okay, I appreciate the word. It was fake, but it was worth it. He said, no. Have you ever had someone kind of invest in you and walk through life with you and learn about Jesus? I said, well, I go to church. He said, that's not the same thing. I said, I go to youth group, and I'm a leader there. He said, well, that's not the same thing either. I said, no, Carl, I haven't. I said, would you be interested in having someone walk with you in your journey of faith? And intentionally pour themselves out as we get to know Jesus together. And I said, I don't know, I need to think about it. Because that's kind of a weird question, right? Would you like to be discipled? And eventually I said yes. And Carl entered into my life, and he became not only my friend, not only an adult that was caring about me, but he became the person that showed me how to study Scripture. He became the person that I studied and memorized and argued with and got to know the depth and the richness of who Jesus is and the traditions of the church. And he poured his life out and opened his doors to me, his whole family. Well, that relationship went on until I was in college. In my first year of college, I went to Cal State University Northridge. Any other Fighting Man anniversary? Oh, yeah, woohoo! All right. It's not Hook 'em Horns, but I've been programmed in Texas to say Hook 'em Horns. Caleb, that's for you. And so I was bumming a ride from one of my friends to go all the way to Cal State University Northridge from Los Angeles every day because I didn't have a vehicle. And then I would figure out how to get home because I borrow rides on the way home. And so one Saturday morning after my first semester of classes, Carl met me in the morning and said, Mike, we need to go for a ride. I'm like, where do we need to go? He said, we need to go for a ride. You need to come with me. And he drove me down to Santa Monica, and we parked his little car on a Santa Monica used car lot. And he said, pick one. What? So we started looking around, and I found a car that I liked. I thought it was kind of nice. He said, all right. Went off and went into the little mobile portable building where it looked like Snidely Whiplash with the curly mustaches out there. Are there any used car sailors? Any used car salesmen in here? Just making sure. Okay, good. Well, okay. And he comes back down 20 minutes later, and he hands me the keys. He says, this is for you. And I was caught off guard. I was surprised. And my life was changed. I was having an Oprah Winfrey moment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you look underneath your seat right now, I am not Oprah Winfrey, and you don't get a car, and you don't get a car, and nobody over here gets a car. No car. All right. He had bought me my first car. Now, remember, I'm a poor kid. I'm living in someone else's house for the last 4 years. I'm a boarder in someone else's house. And I didn't know what to do with this gift. It was so generous, I didn't know what do you do? What do you do with a gift that's that kind, that big, that amazing? And what do you do with a person in your life that's given you a gift that's that big? A generous gift and a generous giver. Let's take a look at our scripture, and then I'm going to show you my car. John chapter 1, verse 11. He came to his own, and his own people did not accept him or receive him. That was the paralambana word that we talked about. Verse 12. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the power to become children of God, who were born not of blood, or of the will of the flesh, or the will of man, but of God. There's an if in that statement. If they receive him. If you receive him. If you receive him, then you become a child of... Say that with me. If you receive him, then you become a child of... God. Wait, thank you. My first car. Toyota Corolla SR5. Notice the really cool mag wheels. Super. It was ladies love that car. That was just the best. The best. See, I think that most of us are sitting in that same position when it comes to Christmas as I was when Carl handed me those keys. We don't know what to do with the amazing gift that is Jesus. And we certainly have no idea what to do with the amazing gift giver that is God our Father. And so we all get caught off guard when we think about Christmas, really. We all get surprised when we think about how Jesus showed up. And we all know that if we really receive this gift, it's going to change our lives. It's going to change our lives. The car that Carl got me enabled me first to be able to go to school. Second, to be able to get a job. And third, be able to woo my future wife. Right? Because he was generous. The gift that God gives us does that and so much more. I mean, I was caught off guard, I was surprised, and again, that idea of if you receive him. The scripture again says this. He came to his own, and his own people did not accept or receive him. But to all who receive him, who believe in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of blood, or not of the will of men, but of God. He changes us. Something incredible happens in there. John's making clear to his listeners that when God shows up, he's available and he's ready to be received. But believe it or not, when Jesus showed up, nobody was ready. Bethlehem wasn't ready. They didn't have any room for him. Mary and Joseph weren't really ready. In a manger. Even though the star burned in the sky, so bright that people from the east traveled, he caught the whole world off guard. God gave his Son so that we might become his children. Jesus Christ came from heaven so that we might be able to attain heaven. He became human like us, lived a perfect and sinless life for us. He beat death. He beat the grave. And now by arriving, he's inviting us to be children of God. Is that good news, people? Yes. That is the good news. When you boil all of Christmas down, it's God's arriving for this. But the world had forgotten. It had been over 400 years of divine silence. They weren't ready. In fact, they were surprised. 400 years of divine silence. So when Jesus shows up as his baby, he's inviting us to a new relationship with God. A relationship with God that the people hadn't ever experienced before. Remember, John's telling the story that you can be received by who? And the word received is that paralambano again. You can be taken in and become a child of God. It's so amazing. I mean, the idea of becoming a child of God is so out of this world that people never thought it was even possible. But when you become a child of God, when you become part of God's own, when you become part of God's family, you receive freedom from the bondage of our sin. You receive freedom from the rules and regulations of church life. Jesus literally brought a new way of living into the world. He brought it into the world. People had never seen anything like it before. And they were surprised by the present that was Jesus. And they were surprised by the giver. And what I think is beautiful is that when you fully receive this gift, you're changed. Because you go from being a person in need of a Savior to a person that is now adopted into the family. It's a world of difference from being on the outside, being given a gift, to being, no, you're not on the outside, you are now in the family. You become a child of God. People were surprised by that. People were caught off guard by the idea of God inviting you into his, what? His family? So, what do you do with this great gift? How do you take this in and receive the Jesus that is mentioned in Scripture? If you're with me, say I am. How do you receive it? The first thing is you recognize that you didn't pay for it. It was a gift. You didn't do anything for it. You didn't do anything to make God do this. It was a generous expression of God's love for you. And I'm reminded over and over again as I look at my life and I look at the lives of people around that God gives generously. You can't outgive God. God is always going to beat you when it comes to giving. He's always going to go overboard. He loves us in such a way that it's a little bit embarrassing. You can't outmatch him. You can't outdo him. All he asks is that we simply be faithful and obey. Second, you receive it with humility. It's not only that you didn't pay for it, it's that you never could pay for it. Imagine someone takes you shopping for something that you didn't even know existed, and it's the most amazing thing. Once you saw it, and you really wanted, and you looked at the price tag, and your jaw hit the ground. I told you about my first car, right? A Toyota Corolla SR5 hatchback. Cost a lot of money back in its day as a used car. No, it didn't. It cost more money than I'd ever seen. Yes, it did. Found out about a new car that just came out this year. It's called the Bugatti Chiron. The Bugatti Chiron. This car can go 270 miles an hour, has 1,473 horsepower, and it cost $2.5 million. I didn't know I wanted it until it existed. I'm not going to show you a picture because I would start drooling. This has got nothing to do for you. You receive it with humility because you could never pay for it. It's a gift so lavish you didn't even know it existed. That God could invite you into his family. To become a child of God. And then you receive it with joy. At some point in your faith story, you have to start recognizing that this whole story is about God inviting you into his family. About being adopted into sonship and daughtership. About changing from being a sinner to being a son or daughter. The adoption language is written all throughout Scripture, all over Scripture. It's God's changing how we look at him and how we interact with him. He comes to be with us and for us and like us so he can rescue, redeem, and restore us. You see, once you start realizing that God came for you and he's using all this adoption language, you start trusting God in a different way. You start trusting God like family. Like a good family. I have to caveat there, right? Because some of us have some interesting families, like my own. Start trusting God like a good father, like a good family. You start seeing Jesus as the one who invited you into this family, who made it possible for you to be in this family. See, you start with Jesus, you stay with Jesus, you finish with Jesus, because it doesn't get better than with Jesus. And all of this is extended to you. He's offering, if you receive my son, you become my family. If you take him in, you become a child of God. You become mine. I don't know how many of you have experienced what it's like to know adoption firsthand or know the adoptive love firsthand, but I have. I know what it's like for a family to go out of their way to open the doors and to love and embrace you as if they were your own. And to still have that family in my life today. Because at 16, that's what happened. I also know what it's like to sit in a courtroom and watch as a family court takes someone who was without family and suddenly become made family. And see, the family that is offering that is putting that on the table. But the kid, the child, still often gets the opportunity to answer, do you want to be part of this family? Do you receive this gift? And that's our question today. Will you receive the gift that God is extending to you this Christmas? Will you become a child of God? As John's writing. Will you receive it and take it in? See, church, I believe that once we take it in, our job then becomes to love people in a way that they cannot miss seeing Jesus. That as Jesus is crafting us to be more like him and taking our entire life to shape us and mold us to be like his son, that our job is to love people like family so that they can become family. Can you say that with me? Our job is to love people like family so they can become family. Our job is to love people like family so that they can eventually become family. Jesus came so that we might be able to receive him and become children of God. And for so many people, that catches us off guard. That surprises us. But when you start to realize it, you start to live in it, it changes everything. Would you pray with me?